Welcome to FireWatch. I'm your host, Ronald Campbell. Today we have the unique opportunity to come out to a home here in northern Wake County where a residential fire sprinkler system has been installed. Joining us today to talk about this sprinkler system is the homeowner, Phil James. Mr. James, thank you for joining us on FireWatch.
Glad to be here.
So my understanding is you're moving from California to North Carolina. So first of all, welcome to North Carolina.
Thank you.
Now, when you were designing the home, was a fire sprinkler system something that you knew from the start that you wanted?
It was something I had planned to have all along.
And why was that?
The safety measurements of it. I've got a fireman on board 24 hours. It made sense.
It makes perfect sense. You know, you've always got a ready-made water supply here.
Exactly.
Now, first of all, people need to understand that a residential fire sprinkler system, its main job is to provide occupant safety. It's a life safety feature, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, when you were designing the home, did you have any problems with the sprinkler system? What were some of the challenges that, as the homeowner, you faced in getting the system put in?
The biggest challenges was having the people work with me in order to get it started. It's not mandatory out here, so a lot of people weren't really aware of the procedures. So it took some time finding the right people that knew what was going on to help me to get it moving. That was the biggest struggle.
And it's not mandatory out here. Is it mandatory in homes in California?
It is mandatory, yes.
Okay. Now, once you found a company that would work with you on this, did you have any difficulty from there, or did it just sort of take off?
No, it was easy after that.
All right. Now, for you, the homeowner, is there any maintenance that you'll have to do on the system, or now that it's in, do you just sort of leave it and let it be?
It's pretty much set it and forget it for the most part. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think now that being out here, you're sort of in a rural part of the county, you do have good fire service protection out here from the local fire department, but do you think that now, knowing that you've got this sprinkler system in your home, that you'll rest easier at night?
Oh, most definitely, most definitely.
So knowing what you know now about installing a residential fire sprinkler system, for folks out there who are considering building a home from the ground up, is this something that you would recommend that a homeowner do?
I would recommend it. When you put the dollar amount of what it costs to put it in there versus your investment here and the life of your family, I would definitely recommend it.
Okay, well, again, welcome to North Carolina, and we appreciate you having us out to your home today and showing us your sprinkler system.
Great, thanks, glad to be here.
My dad is my hero. He goes into places people want to get away from. He makes everyone safe. But the best thing he can do is come home.
The U.S. Fire Administration reminds you to protect yourself and firefighters. Have smoke alarms on every level and near sleeping areas. Test them monthly. Change batteries as instructed. Install sprinklers. Do your part to get out before firefighters have to come in.
My life is full of statistics. Thing is, I could have dropped out of school and become one myself, but I didn't, because I had people that believed in me. Here's another statistic. 7,000 students drop out every school day. That's one every 26 seconds. It's time that students know that we believe in them.
Inspire a student and share your message of support at boostup.org.
Welcome back to FireWatch. Joining us now to talk about the design and installation of this residential fire sprinkler system is Crawford Sprinkler Company Vice President Ian Snyder. Ian, thank you for joining us on FireWatch.
Thank you, glad to be here.
Okay, so you're with Crawford Sprinkler Company, and the homeowners already told us that one of the hardest things was finding a company willing to take on this project. Why did you guys agree to take it on?
We kind of felt as a steward of the industry that Phil had originally explained to us he had a lack of interest with some of the other contractors in town, wanted to take on such a small project. But we just felt it was important for the industry to be progressive and to go ahead and put the effort into this to get it done, especially when someone approached us about doing it. So that was really important to us.
Because my understanding is that the vast majority of what your company does is commercial sprinkler systems.
That's correct. Our average contract size would probably be 10 times what the size of this is here. So it just takes the same amount of effort to do a smaller project, and sometimes financially it's not as rewarding to do the smaller projects, and there's a higher level of risk. So, but we felt, like I said, we felt it was important to do this. Okay,
so talk to us about the design. How did the design phase of the sprinkler system go?
We had an initial consultation with Phil at our office. We unrolled the plans, talked about some of the architectural features of the home, with specifically some of the coffered ceilings, making sure we talked about light fixtures and potential obstructions he might have. And from there we took the plans and we took it to our engineering department, did the sprinkler layout, hydraulic calculations, obtained the water supply information from the local fire department, and submitted those plans for permitting. A few weeks later, everything was approved, and we were waiting on Phil's construction of his home.
So it sounds like really it was a pretty simple process once you guys made contact with each other.
It really is. The way that our company is set up is we do everything in-house. We don't subcontract anything out, so it was a turnkey process for us.
Now talk to us about the installation process. How does it go in a home? How is it different, first of all, to install a system in a home versus a commercial structure?
It's really no different. Basically, once the house is framed up and the other trades, such as your mechanical and plumbing contractors are here, we're here at the same time to kind of coordinate with them and make sure that we're not getting in each other's way, and we do all of our piping and run it while it's framed. At the same time, your electrical and mechanical and plumbing would be done in that before your installation inspection's done.
Okay, now talk to us about the actual system itself. The water supply comes from the street up to the home. When it gets to the house, what are the steps it goes to before it gets to the actual sprinkler head itself?
Basically, it comes from the street just like it would on any other home. It runs through the meter. At the point of connection into the home, it actually splits off from the domestic service, and we put what's called a backflow preventer device. And what that does is it protects the domestic or the drinking water supply in the home from any water that could be sitting in the sprinkler system long term.
Okay. Now, is the piping that is used for the sprinkler system any different than your standard home supply piping?
It is. The product is called BlazeMaster. It's a Schedule 80C PVC product. It's got special glue and special resin and materials in it that's listed specifically for fire sprinkler systems.
Okay, then so basically what that piping does is supplies the residential water system, the cold water supply for the home, correct?
No, it's actually an independent system of piping from the domestic water supply. So the only common feed is really where it comes from the street and the water meter into the home, and it splits off entirely separate at that point.
Now, when it gets to the actual sprinkler head itself, how does that mechanism work?
The sprinkler systems themselves are individually heat activated. The temperature, these specific sprinklers in this home are the fully concealed type. They've got a flush cover plate on it, 135 degrees. The plate falls off by means of the solder melting. And then subsequently after that, there's a fusible link in the sprinkler head itself at 165 degrees. That solder melts and the head opens and you have water delivery at that point.
Is it possible that you could tie the sprinkler system into, say, a residential home alarm system?
Absolutely. There's flow switch devices that we can install on those where they can be interfaced with both security and fire alarm system to where they would dial automatically out to a central station and the fire department would be dispatched at that point.
When we talk about this being supplied by the water system, is there any maintenance that the homeowner will have to do once the system is installed, or is it just something that now that it's there, they're good?
Once it's in, there's really no homeowner intervention or anything that they need to do with the system. It's completely independent. They are required to be inspected once a year by a licensed inspection contractor, and also the cities will require the backflow preventer to be tested annually also.
So there is a little bit of maintenance on that end, but as far as the actual sprinkler heads, the pipes, all that stuff, really nothing.
There's no homeowner parts or pieces that would ever be touched or operated or maintained. If
somebody out there watching the show wanted more information, could they make contact with your company?
Absolutely. They can go to our website at www.crawfordsprinkler.com. Our office is located at 2725 South Saunders Street in downtown Raleigh. And we have an open door policy. We're open to the public. If anyone wants to drop by, they have homeowner plans they want to share with us and get some quotes or budgets, or just simply have some questions about the systems themselves, they can drop by anytime.
Okay, well, I know you guys did a good job here, and I know the homeowner's really happy with it. So thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you. You have a good day.
Really?
Buzz, what's up, man? You left some leaves burning out here.
Yeah, I just came in just for a second.
Come on, man. If it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave. You could torch the whole neighborhood.
It's a good point. There's smoky.
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans.
Only you can prevent wildfires. Excuse me, Dan, but you should always turn space heaters off when you go to bed or leave the room. Good job, Dan. You should always keep space heaters at least 3 feet from anything that can burn, like curtains, newspapers, and even you. Good job, Dan. Dan, did you have your chimney inspected this year? Your chimney and heating system should be cleaned and inspected every year. Good job, Dan. Life isn't a cartoon. Heating is a major cause of home fires. Don't be a doofus. Learn more about preventing home fires at nfpa.org.
Welcome back to FireWatch. Joining us now in the studio to talk a little bit more about residential fire sprinklers is Assistant Fire Chief and Fire Marshal for the City of Raleigh, Peter Brock. Chief Brock, thanks for joining us on FireWatch.
It's my pleasure to be back again, Ron.
Okay, so residential fire sprinklers. From a code enforcement standpoint, why are residential fire sprinklers so important?
It's all about life safety and reducing the number of injuries. There's been a lot of data out there that suggests that improves having a sprinkler system will just plain save your life. An example that I like to give is Prince George's County, Maryland did a 15-year study from 1992 to 2007. And in that time period, they had 101 fire deaths. And they were all in buildings that did not have sprinkler systems in it, whether it be a commercial building, movie theaters, residential. In the same time period, they had 0 deaths in buildings that had sprinkler systems. There's similar statistics and ratios for the number of injuries and the actual dollar amount that fire causes, the damage. It was reduced almost in half in buildings that have sprinkler systems versus those that do not.
And so really primarily the idea of the sprinkler system is life safety first, is that correct?
Absolutely, and that's there are 3 categories of sprinkler systems, and the categories that you will find in apartment buildings, townhomes, and in single-family homes are designed for life safety, meaning get the occupants out. And that's our number 1 concern. Property we can replace, we can rebuild it. We want to make sure that the occupants can escape.
Now you even mentioned though that in addition to the life safety, the property values, you're not causing quite as much damage in a sprinkler building versus a non-sprinkler building. Why is that?
And the sprinklers are able to extinguish the fire before the fire department ever arrives. And I like to use the analogy of sprinkler systems is each sprinkler head is like a firefighter. They're all the time. There's 24/7. They don't malfunction. Their track record for reliability is way above average. They're just like having a firefighter in your home, ready to go all the time.
And ultimately, when you think about it too, a sprinkler system, when it's discharging, if there's a fire in your home, it uses a lot less water, does it not, than a fire engine arriving with firefighters using a hose line. Is that correct?
That is correct. The average sprinkler head discharges about 15 to 18 gallons per minute, whereas hose lines off of fire trucks range anywhere from 100 to 250 gallons per minute.
And since the sprinkler system is catching the fire when it's small, it requires less water than when the fire department gets there and you've got more fire and then more water.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about getting residential fire sprinklers into homes. If Prince George's County, Maryland has done this study and it shows that they work, and we know that they're required in all residential construction in the state of California, why in North Carolina have we been a little bit slower to get these into homes in our state?
It's cost. There is a cost, and it's about $2 a square foot to install a sprinkler system when your home is being built. And that is the best time because it's the cheapest. If you want to remodel or retrofit your home, it's more in the $3 per square foot range. And when you start talking about a home that's several thousand square feet, economics does play a factor in that.
Okay. Now, what would you say to the homeowner who is building a home and they're presented with options? When you're building a home, you get all kinds of options, granite countertops, and nicer this, nicer that. How would you educate the residents to say, you know what, when you're doing this construction, in addition to putting in the granite countertops, which you really like, how do you encourage those homeowners to consider a residential fire sprinkler? What would you say to that?
It's all about safety. As I started out with, it's about life safety. And as the city's fire marshal, I walk the walk and I talk the talk because I have sprinklers in my home. And I chose that option over something else just for my own peace of mind.
Now, when we think about your sprinkler system in your home, let's talk about that for a minute, since you've lived with them now for several years in your home. As the homeowner, do you have to do anything with them, or are they just there?
They're just there. I've never had an issue with it. It's a very basic system. It's not complex. There's no maintenance. One of the misconceptions about having a sprinkler system is, well, they will cause water damage, whether it's a burst pipe or a leaking valve or something along that lines. And that's not necessarily the case. They're very reliable. There's no more increase in having water damage from a sprinkler system than there is any other plumbing fixture in your house. Here in the department, we occasionally run into where there's been water damage from a malfunctioning sprinkler system, but typically that's because someone has hit one of the sprinkler heads with a golf club, or maybe they were hanging some clothes on it, or they hit it in a commercial building with a forklift or some stock. And so it's been because of humans doing something that they weren't supposed to be doing, rather than the sprinkler system actually becoming a problem.
So really there's no more increased risk with a sprinkler system in your home than any other plumbing fixtures?
There is not, no.
Okay. So as the city's fire marshal, how do we move forward in trying to get residential fire sprinklers in more homes, not just here in Raleigh, statewide? What kind of things are we doing as a fire department to help steer that ship towards that?
Well, it's about education and educating the population about what are the advantages. And there are, other than life-saving, which is the most important, a lot of insurance carriers give a discount on your homeowner's insurance for having a sprinkler system, because they consider their property more protected than without. We had a similar circumstances back in the 1960s and 70s about smoke detectors. For years and years and years and years, we never really gave any thought about smoke detectors. We realized how many lives per year were saved with that early notification, and that has a proven track record over several decades. And now adding fire sprinklers is the next step. There are statistics out there that your chances of surviving a fire are 60 or 70% increased with just a smoke detector. It goes to over 85% when you add a sprinkler system and a smoke detector.
Okay. Now, since the building code, the International Building Code with the North Carolina adoption is what is used in North Carolina for new home construction, are there efforts on the part of the Fire Marshal's office to try to work through the Code Council, the International Code Council, to get language into the building code to get sprinkler systems in homes?
There is. When the legislature is in session each year, we communicate with them and deliver a very similar message as what I'm delivering today. And we also have that same message trying to be delivered on Capitol Hill for a national code that would recognize sprinkler systems everywhere.
Right, I know that's one thing that I've worked with, is going up to Washington and working with Congress, trying to get them to pass some legislation to help with the cost of sprinkler systems, and primarily as it relates to college campuses. I know when I was in school at Carolina, there was a fire where several students died in a fraternity house, and since then, Chapel Hill went back and required all Greek housing to have sprinklers put in by the year 2000, which they've done.
Yes.
Is there anything like that here in Raleigh for multifamily homes? When folks are watching this, I guess I should ask, how should they know if their home should have a sprinkler system in it right now as it stands?
Well, backing up just a bit, that North Carolina State University embarked on a similar project to their fraternity houses, and they too have been retrofitted with sprinkler system as a result of the fire in the university system a number of years ago. The existing homes, of course, my recommendation is all homes should have sprinkler legislation and or sprinkler systems installed. And we're working with Congress and the state legislature so that that's not a financial burden, because it is a lot of money, and that's a lot of money to a lot of people, and it's just not something that folks can afford. So we're working on some tax incentives, perhaps some financial incentives to help the average homeowner with this expense.
So Chief, when we look at the existing occupancies out there now, things like townhomes, condos, apartment buildings, since sprinkler systems aren't required in single family homes as of yet, and those are considered multifamily for the most part, how am I supposed to know if where I'm living is required to have a sprinkler system?
It depends on the building. If it's a multifamily, like an apartment building, if it's over 4 stories, it has to have a sprinkler system in it. Townhomes that are linked together, that have over 4 units together, 6, 7, 8 units, are also required to have sprinkler systems. And that's been in effect for a few years now. As a sidebar to that, we recently strengthened that code where the systems were not required on balconies. And we've had quite a few fires in North Carolina that were started on the balcony of apartment buildings. And it extends up the exterior of the building and goes into the attic and ultimately burn the roof off of these buildings. Well, the code has been strengthened that will require sprinkler heads actually on the balconies now, and that's reduced that fire damage significantly.
So I guess if somebody's watching this and they're in an apartment or a townhome now, and they look up, if their home has sprinklers in it, they're good. If it doesn't, then it wasn't required to have it. So basically, there are no buildings in Raleigh that are supposed to have a sprinkler system that do not. Is that a fair assessment?
That's true with the strength of our inspections program, that if you're required to have a sprinkler system in your building, you certainly have one.
So Chief, if somebody wanted more information about residential fire sprinklers, where are some resources where they could get that information?
Well, certainly the web is the best place to start. You can look at all the studies that we talked about here during this segment and look at a few others. Sprinkler contractors that would actually install these kind of systems, they are a good resource, only for cost of the systems, but you know, the expert opinion on what to install. And if you have any other questions, you're certainly welcome to call the City Fire Marshal's office. You can speak to me directly. Our number is published out there in a lot of different places, and you can contact us on email, and that's at fireprevention@raleighnc.gov.
Okay. Well, Chief, I appreciate you taking the time out today to come and talk to us about a little bit more of the statistics of residential fire sprinklers. So I appreciate your time.
Certainly.
Shelters are the best places to find a new pet.
What a perfectly beautiful little lady.
That's where you'll discover healthy, loyal, and loving animals. You little rascal. Eager to become a part of your family. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet.
Oh, ladies first.
Be that person. Adopt.
This is living. Hey, kid.
To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
What is bullying?
Bullying is when someone hurts or upsets another person on purpose.
Sometimes bullying is easy to notice,
such as hitting or name-calling.
And other times, it's hard to see,
like leaving a person out or saying mean things behind their back.
Bullying is not fair,
and it hurts.
But together, we can stop it
if we just take a stand.
Every year, thousands of homes catch on fire in America, and in those home fires, thousands of people die. Oftentimes, those deaths are the result of not having a working smoke detector in the home. Often, we take the batteries out of the smoke detectors for various reasons, and this just isn't a safe thing to do. As we change our clocks, we want you to remember to change your batteries in the smoke detector. It's a simple thing to remember: change your clock, change your batteries. And changing the batteries is a very easy thing to do. You simply take the smoke detector off the wall, take out the old battery, put in a new one, and push the test button. When the sound goes off, you know that the smoke detector is working properly and will protect you and your family for months to come. We want you to remember also to check your smoke detector every month by pushing the button. Use those monthly tests as a time to talk to your family about the importance of fire safety, as well as having an escape plan for your home. If you're physically unable to change your smoke detector battery, or if you have trouble remembering to do so, we recommend that you purchase a 10-year lithium battery smoke detector. These are available at a variety of merchants, and the battery in them lasts for 10 years. That's typically the life of a smoke detector.
Hi, my name's CJ. A few years ago, my father became seriously ill. I did what I could do before he passed, but it took its toll. I lost my job, my house. I'm getting back on my feet, but I don't know when there'll be food on the table. How'd I do, CJ?
We could be twins.
Well, cousins, maybe.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
It's time to join forces. Get energized and fuel up right. Because starting today, every kid in America has a mission. Bring out the action hero in you. Be part of the greatest action movie ever. The first movie that puts you in the action. Show us how you train and eat like an action hero. Join in at actionheroalliance.com.
Halloween is a fun time for many of us. Make sure that your evening is one of great memories by following a few safety tips. When choosing a costume, stay away from billowing or long trailing fabric. If you're making your own costume, choose material that won't easily ignite if it comes into contact with heat or flame. If your child is wearing a mask, make sure the eye holes are large enough so that they can see out. Provide children with flashlights to carry for lighting or glow sticks as part of their costume. Dried flowers, corn stalks, and crepe paper are highly flammable. Keep these and other decorations well away from all open flames and heat sources, including light bulbs and heaters. It's safest to use a flashlight or battery-operated candles in jack-o'-lanterns. If you use a real candle, use extreme caution. Make sure children are watched at all times when candles are lit. When lighting candles inside jack-o'-lanterns, use long fireplace-style matches or a utility lighter. Be sure to place lit pumpkins well away from anything that can burn and far enough out of the way of trick-or-treaters, doorsteps, walkways, and yards. Remember to keep exits clear of decorations so that nothing blocks escape routes. Tell children to stay away from open flames. Be sure they know how to stop, drop, and roll if their costume catches on fire. Have them practice stopping immediately, dropping to the ground, covering their face with their hands, and rolling over and over to put the flames out. Use flashlights as alternatives to candles or torchlights when decorating walkways and yards. They're much safer for trick-or-treaters whose costumes may brush against the lighting. If your children are going to Halloween parties at others' homes, have them look for ways out of the home and plan how they would get out in case of an emergency. As we change our clocks, we want you to remember to change your batteries in the smoke detector. For more information about these or other fire safety tips, be sure to contact us at the Fire Marshal's office at fireprevention@raleighnc.gov.